you don't get to choose like what life throws at you. Like you have to be able to adapt and deal with it.
Welcome to the Spartan DEKA series on Spartan Up with Jarog, Cogswell, Director of Sport, and Yancy, Culp, Director of Programming.
What's up, Spartans? Welcome to the DEKA series on the Spartan Up Podcast. I'm your co-host, Jarog Cogswell, along with my brother and Director of DEKA Programming, Yancy, Culp. And today, we have not just an amazing athlete joining us, but an amazing human being. So Sam Briggs is joining us today.
This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by Headspace. You deserve to feel happier, and Headspace is meditation made simple. Go to headspace.com/Spartan for a free 1-month trial with access to Headspace's full library of meditations for every situation.
Welcome, Sam. Thanks for being here. You're all the way overseas, over in the UK. We've never had anybody overseas on this show. So thanks for joining us today.
No, thank you. It's an honor to be on with you guys.
I guess where I wanted to start off with this interview, Sam, obviously you're an amazing athlete. You have shown so much heart and soul. What is it that inspires you to be the athlete and the human being that you are?
I think that I truly enjoy training and just believe that everybody should be able to move well and to be able to live a better life rather than live with disease or live with not being able to do the things that they want to be able to do. And through movement, I was able to become a firefighter. I never dreamt as a child that I would ever be good enough at anything athletically to be an athlete, but I always used sport and training to kind of keep myself active, to live a life that I'd be able to do something meaningful for other people. And that's why I chose the route of being a firefighter in the first place. And then through that, my fitness improved and I ventured down other avenues, started doing triathlons and stuff, and then found CrossFit. And then obviously through CrossFit, I was able to then spread the message of the sport and the sport of fitness, functional fitness to everybody else.
Yeah, it's interesting because learning about your firefighting background, I also learned that you were involved in kind of this really traumatic experience where you were involved in an explosion. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've actually been involved in a couple of different explosions, but one of the biggest ones we went to was a big chemical explosion, which part of it had already erupted and was the fire that we went to. And then some of the canisters, whilst we were in firefighting, actually got involved, and there was another explosion whilst we were within the building fighting the fire.
Yeah, what was that experience like? I mean, were there casualties involved in that explosion, or did it make you think differently about life, after experiencing something like that? I say that because I've been in a couple of those, not an explosion by any means, but in a life or death situation. It just does something differently from a perspective standpoint going forward. What'd that do for you?
I think it just really solidifies the bond that you have with those that you work. Whilst you're in the explosion, it's all your training takes into play, and then everybody else around you is staying calm and just getting the work done and making sure basically we all fell back and we put the waterfront up to protect us from the flame front. And so everybody doing their part and working together as a team meant that none of us got injured, and luckily there were no casualties because we all stuck together and used our training. So it really makes you appreciate the people that you work with, and just you get that camaraderie camaraderie with those that you work with. It's more than work colleagues. They're your family.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I have huge respect, obviously, for athletes, but on the human side, making the sacrifices, from whether it's being a firefighter, the military, police. Thank you for all that you've done. Let's dig deep more, Yancy, on the athletic side. Because obviously that resume is long and it's also very inspiring. Yancy?
Well, obviously you've had a lot of success, and this is actually, I'm going to kind of tie two questions together here. In your mid to late 30s, you've had a lot of success in CrossFit. I think you finished 18th in 2019. And CrossFit is a sport where we've seen most people start to drop off past 30, not past 35, but past 30 even. And talking about and tying the Spartan Games, into this, and coming in as a 38-year-old, I believe, and just recently prior to that, finishing so high in the CrossFit Games after an illustrious CrossFit Games, career. You and I have talked extensively about the fact that one of our goals with the games was to broaden the bookends of fitness, kind of make them wider. Let's go far extreme on the endurance side, have plenty of stuff on the strength side, and then stuff in between. Talk to us about your experience there at the games, with that being our inaugural event.
I mean, I didn't pursue my athletic career until obviously later on in life. I didn't start CrossFit until I was 27. So when I won in 2013, I was already 31. And then kind of from there, there's been talks that I might retire. 2016, I thought that was my last year and I was going to retire. I needed shoulder surgery, but I came back from shoulder surgery feeling like new lease of life, and I was kind of like, oh well, let's just do a few competitions, see how I feel. And kind of then being given that second chance after having surgery, I've just been taking every opportunity that I can get just to push myself and just see how far I can go. When people are like, why are you still doing it? Why do you not retire? I'm like, well, why would I? I still can do it. I'm still physically capable of doing it. And for me, I thrive on the in-person competition. So when the CrossFit Games this season, the first part was just the online portion. When I found out about the Spartan Games, I was like, hell yeah. I was 1 week into my off season. I was like, I can regain that fitness. Sign me up. I'm coming.
That's awesome. Hey, you know what I was going to ask you, you were talking about competition, Sam. What we talk a lot about with DEKA, because what we're trying to ensure that everybody understands about DEKA is that it's for all levels of fitness, and we've been lucky to have somebody like yourself go through our DEKA Strong course, for example. But, we also, some of the phrasing that we use is it's you versus you trying to get 1% better every day. And, and then we have the other competitors that, hey, they have no problem competing against others. But we've had people actually enter our competitions that have never competed in their lives. What is your approach? I mean, is it something where you look at it where I'm doing this for me, or I'm doing this to beat my competition?
I think definitely when I was first getting into competing, it was all about getting on that podium. Now it's more of a personal challenge and just kind of how much I can still push myself and how much I can still improve. As Yancy said earlier, I'm 38 now, and so going out and doing the Spartan Games, I've never mountain biked for that far, or I've never run for that far in my life. And so at 38, I'm still doing things that are new to me that I never thought I'd be able to do. And it's like, I think that's what's the benefit of like doing things like the DEKA comp. People, it doesn't need to be that they have to go and run a marathon. It's like just getting people like out of the house and starting to take part in fitness and doing things. And they do the DEKA comp and then come back 6 months later and see that they can do it faster or they can do it easier than before. And then gives them then a focus to improve their training and improve their lifestyle. And I think that's one of the benefits of like the functional fitness like world that's out there. It's like getting people who haven't been athletic to actually start moving and to realize that no matter how old they are, they can still be an athlete.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
You kind of answered my next question. So talk to the audience about when that situation, it pops right up in front of you. It could be at work, or it could be around the house, or it could be in this massive event that now is right in front of you. It's like, oh my gosh, I've never done this before. A 6-hour run, a 5-hour bike, a 45-minute swim. I've never done this. What fires you up, psychs you up to say yes, to say, okay, I'm diving in. Literally, I'm diving in versus like, no, I'm going to deviate that little journey and stay in my comfort zone.
I think that's something that definitely got instilled, like going into being a firefighter. You don't get to choose like what life throws at you. Like you have to be able to adapt and deal with it. And especially like, I mean, look at what 2020 threw at people. COVID threw the world upside down. It's like, if you are in the mindset that no matter what competitions throw at you, no matter what like challenges are thrown at you, you'll adapt and overcome, then things like when the world has a pandemic, you find ways to overcome it and still be positive and still live the life you want to be able to live. And I think that's something that like sport can help instill in people. It's like when COVID hit, did you just accept like, oh, I can't go to the gym, I can't do this, I've just got to stay at home? Or did you find ways that you still could train? Did you find new ways to train? Did you adapt? Were you able to overcome? And I think that's when you see like people like truly realize, okay, yeah, like I need to be able to be more adaptive.
Yeah, there's a lot of lessons in that. I have a question for you, Sam. You know, when it came to the Spartan Games, just as an example, I mean, was there any event that you feared or intimidated you because it was something that you weren't as familiar with?
I think like kind of intimidation wise, it was definitely the mountain bike, just for like, it was a legit mountain bike race. It wasn't like rolling non-technical, which was specified. It was a legit bike course, and some of those downhill sections were pretty scary. And so it's one of those things where you're like, oh shit, I could really get hurt. But then you can't think like that, because then you try and control the bike too much, and then you actually do end up falling off. So it's learning to kind of like try and release those fears and trust in what you can do.
So I'm going to tell you, and I know I can speak for Jared when I say this, one of the greatest moments for Jared and I at the games was day 2, the morning of day 2, and it was DEKA Strong. And let me go ahead and say, we can officially say now, because the next episode it's going to show, you are the DEKA Strong global leaderboard record holder right now with the 13:36 that you dropped that day. By the way, you freaking obliterated the female record. But the most amazing moment for Jared and I is, up to that point, we have tested thousands across the country with that exact test. Guys and girls that have never towed the start line in their life, 50, 60, even 70-year-olds that are very unfit, that finished DEKA Strong, the same event that you did. They're doing 30, 40, 50 minutes sometimes. But, and then to see them in tears afterwards saying, Coach, that's the first time I've ever towed a start line in my life. But one of the greatest moments for Jared and I, here we have 24 of the greatest athletes to ever walk the planet, laying on the finish line, freaking dead, like for 5 minutes, turned inside out, to see y'all like, oh my gosh, that was so freaking hard. But in the same arena on the same day using the exact same equipment, 99.2% of the world can do that. I say 99.2 because we've tested thousands and we're sitting at about 99.2% completion percentage. And the majority of those people aren't in Sam Briggs's fitness realm or Hunter McIntyre's fitness realm. So that got us so geeked up to see the level of athlete like yourself enjoying that and just turning yourself inside out in that arena, but knowing so many other people can do the exact same functional fitness test. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think like things like that are really cool because everybody watching, if they've done that event, they know how hard it was to complete it. And the fitter you get doesn't mean that it gets easier because you actually have to push harder. So no matter what level you are, to get through it at your level is going to be hard. And everybody will have an appreciation for it because everybody's done the same workout. And the reason that we were laying on the floor in such pain is because you guys put pressure on us before saying, we're expecting you to beat the record. You've got to do this. We're watching you. And then you're like, oh, damn, I can't let them down.
Well, you did exactly that. You obliterated the record. It's if you go, the good news is this won't air for a while until that second episode airs. But if you go to the record book right now, Sam Briggs is not the record holder. But after that episode airs, we're going to actually populate the leaderboard with you cyborgs that came in and tore the record to pieces. Jared says it best, though. The magical moments are like, is it, you know, Sam Briggs runs it in 13, but it's that person that runs it in 50 minutes. It's like, wow, dude, you were out on course 4 times as long as Sam.
Yeah. You know, we talk a lot about magic moments, Sam, with DEKA and you know, coming from the fitness world of, you know, from all genres and all levels. And I have nothing but respect for the CrossFit world. It's been amazing what they've done. They've set a great tone. I've always said CrossFit's like snowboarding was to the ski industry. They taught us about culture, you know? And so it was just truly a gift to see U24 athletes get after it in what we call the DEKA arena. And I remember telling Yancy after you finished with your 13:36, I was like, Sam freaking Briggs just did DEKA Strong, you know? And this thing came to life back in December. We had 3 months, you know, before COVID hit. And we were just getting our wheels underneath us, and it's come a long way. So we thank you for you know, participating in that. I did wonder this though. You know, we talk about competition at the Spartan Games. Who was that? And I'm hoping there is 1 or 2 athletes that you were targeting. Who were those athletes that you're going, I want to beat her? You know, and maybe that's happened in CrossFit, but you know, it's like if I'm competing in something, even if I'm up on the mountain or something like that, I love being in the mountains, but I don't want to finish second, you know, up at the summit. So who were those competitors at the Spartan Games that you were shooting for?
I think like I said, now I'm getting older, that it's more a personal thing, but you still know events where you like should be doing well and you can do well. So when I was doing the DEKA competitions, like I knew that, okay, this is where I can like pick up points. So it's not necessarily that overall that I was like trying to win the overall thing, but I'm still a competitive athlete. So when it's something that I know I can do, then yeah, I'm gonna fight for it. So yeah, so I definitely like, even though I'm like friends with Christy, I know that she's coming from the same background as me. So it's like, okay, I know she's gonna be good at this. It's very functional style training, which is what we do. So I was definitely like keeping an eye on her. And then obviously I got drawn against Corinne, and like you see how good she was. So it was like, right, okay, I need to, and you can, because we were going like head to head going through, it's just constantly keeping like a little eye. And so I kind of guessed where she would be good and where I could try and like get a little bit of a lead. So once I got that lead, it was like, give everything you have to like stay in front.
Yeah. Well, that was a heck of a competition with, And it was fun watching Corinna and you battle it out, through the DEKA Strong competition. We've had an opportunity to work with Corinna in the past, and we were going, okay, let's see how these two stack up. And if it weren't for you, Corinna would have the world DEKA Strong record. So you must have inspired her at the same time.
Hey, talk to us about, I'm sorry, Sam, go ahead. You were going to say
I
something.
was going to say, I bet we pushed each other like harder than we probably wanted to go, but neither of us wanted to lay down and let the other win. So it was like, come on.
Talk to us about at most of your competitions over the past 8, 9, 10 years, it's been alongside fellow CrossFit athletes. Now, all of a sudden, you're in an arena with some other fellow CrossFit athletes, but athletes from 4 or 5 different genres. Like we talked about with the games, we wanted to bring what I call 4 of the largest fitness movements, arguably the world's ever seen: CrossFit, Spartan obstacle racing, triathlon, and running, and even some other genres, Xterra and the NFL and American Ninja Warrior. Now, all of a sudden, you're in an arena with all these different athletes from different genres. Talk to the audience about that experience.
I think that was one of the coolest bits. Is I've kind of been in my CrossFit bubble since, I stopped doing triathlons in 2010. I did my last competitive race then. So from 2011 onwards, I've done no other competitions really outside of CrossFit. So it was really cool to meet other athletes and see other athletes in their element, watching them perform to the top of the level, doing different sports. And it's just reconfirmed my love of sport in general, not just CrossFit. And then at first, I think when we were sleeping in the dorm style arrangements, I think everybody was a little bit skeptical at first, but it actually meant that we really got to know all the other athletes. And I think there's a genuine bond between all the athletes, which is something that we never get in CrossFit, because everybody's off in a separate hotel room and you only see each other warming up and then actually out on the competition floor. So it was a really cool, another layer to the competition, actually getting to know the other athletes on more of a personal level, not just competing against them.
Hey, so I wanted to, I know you're busy and wanted to come to a close here, but one of our mantras, Yancy and I have been talking about this since we were coaching the U.S. Army soldiers back at Fort Bragg. Our mantra is light up the planet, right? And that is our purpose in life. We want to positively impact lives through fitness. And you're obviously a huge inspiration, not just to the CrossFit community, but to just everybody on the planet that's going to watch the Spartan Games, the CrossFit Games, and so on. What is that thing that you share with people? Do you have any advice for the people that, especially during COVID and the challenges of this pandemic, what is your advice to keep them motivated and inspired to keep going every single day? Because we know in the fitness world, there's a lot of excuses not to keep going. But what would your advice be?
Anything's better than nothing. It's people get beat up on themselves that if they've not been able to get to a gym and do the hour-long workout, or if they're usually following some kind of training plan, if they can't stick to it. But you've just got to remember that through hard times, anything's better than nothing. If they can't get to a gym, going out for a walk, taking the kids for a walk, the dog for a walk, getting out for a run, using your kids as weights or implements to train with, just actually getting up off the sofa and moving for that hour is so much better and will do so much better for you mentally than being defeated that you can't do what you usually do. Go out and have some fun. We went out mountain biking today. I did 3 hours out on the trails. So that's something that I've carried on from the Spartan Games.
Love that.
That's awesome. Now you're going to be a mountain bike athlete.
I got a couple rapid fires for you. And this is specifically for the audience. Talk to the parents, coaches, educators out there. What inspired you when you were young? hit upon something like that one thing you're like, oh my gosh, I remember that and that inspired me.
I just always got inspired by watching the Olympics. Like a lot of these athletes aren't like highly paid athletes, but they train their asses off to represent their countries. And I always love watching like the track and field and stuff at the Olympics.
Your greatest CrossFit moment?
It's one that sticks in my memory. Will always be my first event at the CrossFit Games, because that was when I fell in love with competing. I kind of made it to the games like kind of accidentally, and just being that first event under the spotlights at the games, doing Amanda, I'll always remember that event. And then obviously then winning the games, but actually just competing for the first time and realizing that I actually could be an athlete.
Okay, one more.
Yep.
As you know, as an athlete and a coach, within the world of endurance, we can easily roll into our 40s and still kick butt and take names. With endurance playing a key role in the Spartan Games as well as the strength, does Sam Briggs see herself working in enough specific training to make sure she will have herself ready for next year's Spartan Games?
If I get invited to next year's Spartan Games, I will make sure that I do some more longer running before I turn up.
All right.
That's
In
awesome.
fact, on the 20th of December, me and some people are doing a charity event, 50K run, 50K row. I've never done either, and we're doing it in the same day. So that's going to be the longest thing I have ever done in my life. And we're raising money for cancer research.
Whew.
Love that.
Good on you. And wow. So how can we watch that, Sam?
We're figuring out the best way to stream it live. Maybe Facebook Live or YouTube. We've not figured out the best way yet, because obviously it's going to be probably around that 8 to 10 hours, depending on like how fast we set off. But it's definitely will be figured out before we go live. But yep, the 20th of December will be definitely out of my comfort zone.
Hey,
Well,
so I want to say again, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show with us, and also I want to tell our audience, hey, if you want to follow Sam Briggs, it's Biceps Like Briggs on Instagram. And if you want to get inspired and get your butt off the couch like she did with me today, I was drinking my coffee, being all comfortable, and all of a sudden, if you want to start doing arm curls and getting fired up for the rest of your day, go look her up on YouTube as well. So, Sam, thank you so much.
No worries.
Sam the engine.
The engine.
Thank you, guys.
This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by Headspace. You deserve to feel happier, and Headspace is meditation made simple. Go to headspace.com/Spartan for a free 1-month trial with access to Headspace's full library of meditations for every situation.